This is the game of food.
This is the game of food.
We're helping real people get real results with delicious food. Real food. Live from Spencer's home studio, podcasting to the world. This is Game of Food. And here's your host, Spencer Frederick.
Today we're talking about diet shamers, the food pushers, because they are very common. For those of you that haven't dieted or followed too many nutrition plans, the diet shamers, they're out there and they can be rude, they can be pushy. And I think I've missed this topic because I am just very used to this, and I just kind of grew up eating a certain way. Yes, I drank pop and ate candy and ate baked goods and all the goodies growing up, but I also always included vegetables and fruits, and I liked them. I liked I liked the taste of some of them, so I'm lucky there. And then number two, I liked that there was a benefit. And growing up, I remember certain times I would deny pop from people, and people would push it like, what, you don't drink that? And there were times like in high school, during certain sports, I would try to lower sugar and kind of increase fruit and vegetables. I wouldn't really track anything. I would just kind of go with those rules. And you'd get friends that would be like, oh, just drink it. Or it won't hurt you that much, stuff like that. I also remember, I always ate a lot of lean protein sources, meats, and people always had comments on my plate about that stuff. Like, I don't know what they would say about protein, but people always would. I would avoid certain fatty foods, and people would kind of jab me and pick on me about it a little bit. But I remember growing up truly hating people calling me skinny, because I was the skinny kid. So growing up, I wanted to build bigger. I wanted to be bigger. I didn't want to be fatter, so I wanted the muscle, because I was called scrawny all the time. And I really also hated people, looking at my plate and being basically judgmental that they don't, because they don't eat that way. They're judgmental because they don't eat that way. And so they would throw these, little insults or like little haha jokes about the way I ate. Some more stories. Fast forward to, when I had my, first few like cubicle type jobs, I think that's where it was the worst, because I would sit down at lunch break with people and I was just eating a certain way, and just so many questions like, why do you eat that? Why do you eat this? Boy, do you eat a lot. Ah, man, you must be lucky. And the story I'll tell is so I've had a couple different corporate jobs, and at one of them, I would sit down at lunch break, and there was just a more judgmental couple of people than like the average. And I remember I sat down one time, and I had the spaghetti squash noodles, how you can make them into noodles. And then I had a low-calorie marinara, and I put a lot of the marinara sauce on it. And then I had a ton of ground turkey on it. And that kind of tastes like real spaghetti to me, but it really was a lot of ground turkey and a lot of the marinara and just like a little bit of the spaghetti squash. And I sat down to eat it, and I was eating that way to get a result. Let's remember that. And I sit down next to these people I knew at this company during lunch break, and one guy goes, he's like, what is that? He says it like that. I'm totally used to it, so I just cooked up some spaghetti squash and this low-calorie marinara, and then this is ground turkey. It's not ground beef. Explain my meal. Like, why? Why do I have to do that? First off, I did not like point at his stupid plate and like, what's that? Like, why do you eat like that? And that's the next thing he said. So I explained what I'm eating, and then he's like, why do you eat like that? And then I just kind of got into my normal spiel, like, well, whatever, it's protein, it's low carb, it's blah, 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 this is my goal. You have to explain yourself sometimes. And he's like, no, seriously, why do you always eat like that? Like, why can't you eat other stuff? And he's like getting like, he's like, I won't say he's getting angry, but he's getting like firm with me. And so I remember kind of pausing and just like, is this getting real? And so I remember hesitating for a few seconds, and I kind of look at the table around me, and everybody else kind of like, adjusted in their seat. Like, what's Spencer going to say? Like, wow, this guy, I think they agreed that this guy was being a jerk. And so I was like, guy, why don't you just worry about your plate? And then I said what I just said recently. I said, I'm not going to pick apart what you're eating. I am literally enjoying what I'm eating. And also, it matches the goal. And he still had like something under his breath to say about that. And I was like, well, first off, I'm never sitting down next to this guy. And actually, from that day on, a couple of us kind of split away from the rest of that group. And I've had other people like that. If you try to limit drinks around certain friends, they'll say something. And another story I'll tell. So that's kind of a story that happened to me that has happened multiple times. Sometimes people aren't that aggressive, but I have had some other aggressive ones like that. And I won't bore you with more questions about me. Another one is from a client. And he had this issue at work, and so he was following my nutrition plan. And for those of you that don't know, I like to see people eat realistic. I do like the healthy stuff in there, but I do like treats, and I like to see a good balance in somebody eating realistic and getting results. Eating realistic, being flexible, and getting results. And so they have to track their portions for me and show me their food log. And, his coworker, my client's coworker, found out about what he was doing, and she was, very judgmental about it, just like picking it apart. Like, what do you have to do? What about this detail? Tell me all the details. And like, oh, that must suck. And when he was telling me this story, and she talked about how like demanding or limiting it was, or you can't do this and you can't do that. And as she was saying those things to him, she was doing keto, which when he was telling me this story, I was like, let's call him George. I was like, George, she's doing keto, and you didn't say anything back to her? And he was like, no, I mean, I don't really care what she does. And I was like, keto is one of the most restrictive nutrition plans you can be on, because you almost have to delete all carbohydrates, an entire macronutrient you have to delete, because she was claiming he was restricted in certain areas and stuff like that, when really he can eat what he wants. And I thought that was a tough one too. And he kind of, I won't say he felt bad, but he didn't like the attention it brought. And she was, very strong and very judgmental about it. And so this is a real thing, diet shaming. And we should kind of dive into why people do that. One, people that are the closest to you, unfortunately, some of them are going to be the ones that do it because, one, they don't want you to change and they stay where they're at or get worse. They don't want that. People are more picky about the people around them than you actually think. They want you to be like them. And some people just don't want to change. You are going to have the people that support you, but you're going to have the people that when they hear you're on a diet, they're going to try to tempt you on purpose. They're going to invite you out. They're going to put treats in front of your face and convince you that one won't hurt you, and in all of this stuff. Other reasons they do that, in my experiences, they feel like you are sucking the fun out of the entire social event, if it's at a social event, which makes zero sense, because when you are doing a nutrition plan for yourself, it has nothing to do with anybody else. They can eat whatever they want, but they feel bad and well, I thought we weren't going to think about food on this trip, or stuff like that. And so that's kind of where people come from. And I have heard some nutrition experts say get these people out of your life if they're not super close, and I don't think you have to at all. I don't think you have to at all. You just know that you have to deal with that. And there's certain ways that you can handle it. And I think maybe because I've been doing this for so long and I've had so many diet shamers and food pushers that I think probably I'm a good person to talk to about. And so what you can say There's several different things. What you can say is, if somebody invites you out for like lunch break or something like that, like, hey, oh crap, I already ate, or I brought my lunch. Sometimes that wouldn't work for me. So I would say, I've been kind of feeling a little different today. I would tell little white lies. I figured little white lies, as long as they helped my goal, I could say them. Sometimes people, the food pushers, like, here, only have one. And what I would say is, that hasn't been agreeing with me lately. And, you kind of rub your stomach. And I liked that little, like, white lie, because it wasn't really a lie, because maybe it doesn't agree with my goal. And so I would use those little quotes, at social events. I would say something like, "Oh, I just ate, so I'm just gonna have one. I'm just gonna have one today because, boy, did we have a big lunch," and stuff like that. For people that have a coach, like my clients do, sometimes putting the blame on the coach, like, yeah, he can see my foods or something like that, so I better not. And you just have to keep a cool head about it. Sometimes you're going to come across a person that's just going to say something no matter what and kind of put you on the spot no matter what. And the people closest to me, I would say they realize that when I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that, that they don't push it anymore. I don't get that anymore from the people that are closest to me, because I wore them down, so to speak. You know what I mean? So you're going to get it more in the beginning from the people closest to you. They're going to say, eat this way, just have one. Well, let's go to this. They're going to say all these things. And then if they get kind of a no answer, or they see that you kind of don't give in, because sometimes a non-answer is pretty powerful. You don't answer, and then you don't eat what they want. And they're like, oh, I couldn't get him to do anything I wanted him to do. And what I'll end this with is, I think some of you know if you are a food pusher. Some of you know if you're aggressive about the way somebody eats if they don't eat like you. Some of you don't want your friends and family to drink less alcohol or not attend a pizza night. And I think that is wrong. Don't do that. Don't do that to people. Because when somebody is working on nutrition, you don't know why. So don't be a jerk. You don't know why. For me, I don't have any serious health concerns. So if you corner me about nutrition, I don't really have any like deep dark thing I'm working on, or any health concerns. Some people do have health concerns. Some people have very low confidence about the way they look. Like, they go home and cry. And then you're like, just eat it. Don't be a jerk. Don't do that. You have no idea what private things that person is going through related to their health. Okay, that's it. Thanks for tuning in.